Our next guest is Katie Caldwell. She's a Visual Studio PM, and she's going to talk to us about what's new in Visual Studio 2019 and beyond. Hey, Katie.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm great.
Everybody should know and probably knows that Visual Studio 2019 16.8 released yesterday. You should download it, play around with it. Lots of great stuff. You're going to tell us all about it, right?
Yeah, so I know we have a short amount of time today, but I'm going to try to go through some of the recently released features, and I'll get it through as much as I can. If
Awesome.
I don't get through everything, there is a session right after that will go through some of these new features as well. Is that great? Cool. So let's actually get started. So today I will try to breeze through as much as I can. And today my demos will cover customizing your Visual Studio environment. So that includes how to actually apply those really cool themes. I will also demo how to get those, how to have some custom .NET Core templates, how to apply those, how to get those. I'll also we'll be looking at solution filter. So I'll be demoing how to actually filter a solution load, and I'll actually save that filter for your next loads. I will also be showing you how to configure some of your file nesting. And after that, I will show you some of the productivity tools if we have time. So I will show you IntelliCode team completions, IntelliCode suggestions, and also show a really cool preview feature that is called Web Live View. So let's get started. Okay, so I am actually going to switch over to Visual Studio now. And we will start. And the first thing you'll notice as you see Visual Studio open, you'll notice that I have a really cool theme. So how did I actually get this theme? So let me show you how I downloaded, installed, and applied this theme. This is a really cool way that you can personalize Visual Studio just as you like it. So the first thing I'll do is I'll actually use Control Q, and I will go and look to manage extensions. And the reason why I'm going there is because that is currently how you can download and install extensions and how you can install specific themes. So let's actually use the search bar again here and search for themes. And as you'll notice, I have two themes already installed. So these are two extensions. One is Color Themes for Visual Studio, and the other one is OneDark Pro. OneDark Pro is the one I'm actually using. But if I wanted to install another extension that would give me themes, I could install, let's see, say mid-century themes. I would download this, and the way to actually install this theme is after download, you will have to close all your instances of Visual Studio. And once you close those instances of Visual Studio, it will install this as a V6. And then later you will be able to, upon reloading of Visual Studio, you'll be able to select that theme. So let me show you, since I've already downloaded OneDark Pro, how I've actually applied this theme. So again, I'm going to use Control Q to search, and this time I'm going to search environment. I could search environment, or I could actually search themes. And you can see the top item is change environment color themes. So I'll click that. And as you'll notice, the color theme I've selected is OneDark Pro, which is the theme that I installed via the extension. I could also go back to the default blue that you have, and I will do that just for the sake to show. And as you can see, voila, I have reverted back to the default blue. And let's show that again with Control Q. I'm going to go to themes, And I'm going to select that and go back to that One Dark Pro that I really enjoy. So I am sure that everyone loves just personalizing Visual Studio. So let's continue on with a couple other ways that you can customize and personalize Visual Studio. So another way is, as a developer, one of the pains of beginning a new project is setting up that project with all the class library folder structure or configuring the dependency injection. So project templates really help save you time, that startup time, when you're beginning a project. By adding what you commonly use and bundling this in a template for reuse later. That means that there's no use or no need to copy, paste, or rewrite code that you've already written from previous projects. So once you've created a template, you can just simply reuse this template the next time you create a new project. So I've already created a project. I called it Test Console App. And the notable thing about this console app is I've already created specifically I've written a class called Observable Object. This is going to notify you anytime there's a property change. So this is a very common thing that you would do, and something that I would probably want to reuse later on for when I'm creating another project. So one of the really cool things you can do is you can create this as a template. So I'm going to use Control Q again for searching, which is a great little shortcut. And this time what I'm going to search is template. And as you can see, and at the top, you see export templates. So I'm actually going to do a project export template, and I will walk you through this. So as I choose the template type, I will choose project template. And this is called Test Console App, this project. So I'm going to base it off of the project. If I had multiple projects loaded, I would, of course, select which one I would want to use. So for this one, I'm going to say this template includes observable object class. And I could really say whatever here, whatever makes the most sense for you. This description will really be helpful for after you've saved this template and you want to reuse it later. This is extremely helpful for you to figure out exactly what this template is doing. So put whatever description that would be helpful. So I've actually saved a really cool icon earlier today. So let me actually back and click this .NET icon. And I'm going to select that .NET icon again. And the next thing that I'll do is it's going to display the Explorer window. One second, I will delete that file because I've done this before. And as you can tell, what you're seeing is a bit better. You will see under Visual Studio 2019, my exported templates, you'll see that this template that I've just exported, as you can tell, I've done this before. So I did this yesterday. So you'll see a previous folder that has this, but it's as a zip. And the cool thing about this is I can actually unzip these, I can extract all these files and I can go into these files. And since I've already done this, I will go inside there and you will see that there is a mytemplate.vs template file that I can actually open in Notepad or any sort of note or text editor. And I could also open it in Visual Studio. And one of the cool things about this template file is that I can actually update the metadata tags associated with this, which will help with filtering. For sake of time, I'm not going to open it right now, but I will go back and show you how you can actually go and access this newly created template. So let's go back and let's say that we want to start a new project. So I'm going to select File, New Project. Having a little delay here. Sorry, folks. Okay, cool. And you can already see that I've pinned this from yesterday, but let's just see if we can see this show up in the list, this newly created template. Let me actually just go and search and filter here. Let's go down. Let's go back to the top. And let's see, that's console app. Back. Sorry, the filter is going just a little slow today, but we're going to try to see if it's filtering. I think my machine's just running a bit slow, but for sake of time, I want to just show you that it is actually filtering and showing this in the list. It will show in the list, but as you can tell, I already have this pinned for myself. Once you've actually created this filter, or once you've actually created this template, you will actually see this template show up, which is really, really cool. You will see this show up automatically as part of not just your recent project templates, but also within the superset. You can utilize the metadata tags associated with that template to then filter. So I can add a language tag. I could also add in the platform or the project type. All of these are metadata tags that can be configured from that dot template file. So for sake of time, I'm just going to show you with this project template that I've created. I'm actually just going to select that. I'm going to click next, and I'm going to call this test console netconf. And I will be created as a new solution. That is fine. I will use the same solution name, and we will create that. And as you can tell, you'll notice that the observable object class is there. It's literally just ported this over. So for sake of time, I'm going to move forward to the next demo. And the next demo is actually going to be solution filters. So a really cool thing about starting on working on a big project as a developer is the ability to work on some pretty large code bases or some pretty large projects. But one of the issues that happens is that Visual Studio performance, as you could tell, I was having some performance issues before. Visual Studio performance can sometimes be a drag if you're trying to load a really, really large project. So I'm sure that you've probably worked on a large project and you've been waiting for all the projects to load in that solution, and that can be very frustrating. So luckily, Visual Studio has a new feature that allows for solution filtering to select which subset of projects you'd like to load at a time. This decreases the solution load, really improves Visual Studio performance, really improves that sort of like local build and test runtime by enabling you to just focus and review just the sort of cone of influence that you care about. So let's actually get started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to actually do this. So one of the things you want to do is you want to open a project. So let's say I want to open a solution, a pretty large one. So I'm going to go and pretty large is called the. So let me go into that folder. And as I go, you can see there's a ShareX solution. So what I would want to click is I would want to check the box, do not load projects. And by checking this do not load projects, I'm able to load selectively which projects I want to. So what will happen is I will do not load projects. I will open up the ShareX solution. And as you can tell, it loaded very quickly. The solution is loaded, but none of the projects are loaded. So let's say that I'm interested in working on, a specific, part of this solution. So maybe I'm responsible for working on, maybe something that's more, back end. So maybe I'll work on the helpers, and maybe I will work on perhaps like the image effects, right? So what I would do is I will highlight the one that I will select which project I want to load. So let's say the helpers lib, as well as maybe image effects lib. So I'll press Control and also select, so I can do that multi-select. And then what I will do is I will right click, and then I can reload the project. So as I right click, you'll notice that instantaneously those two projects are loaded. So let's say I want to hide these other projects that I don't decide to load. So I will right click again. I'll right click on the solution, and I will say hide unloaded projects. You'll notice that I can also load all projects here as well. But let's say for right now, let's just hide the unloaded projects. So now I'm just focused on the projects that I care about. So another thing that I can do is now save this as a solution filter. So let's right click again, and you'll notice that there is a save as solution filter. And this really helps me for the next time that I decide I want to load. So let's call this backend task. And we can say backend task share X, right? And so as you'll notice, what I just did is as I save that, the next time I come back, I can actually go back to that solution and load that solution. So let's actually go back and do this. So let me save this as a solution filter again so I can open this up. Let me actually not do this and let me go to the File Explorer. Okay. Sorry, my computer's going a little slow today. So let's actually do this one more time. And you'll see backend task share X as a solution filter. I can actually select this. And as I select this, I can, when I actually open this, so once it opens, you'll notice that it will only open the specific projects that I've saved for that solution filter. It's just opening a bit slow. Let's do it one more time and see if it opens. Okay, I think it's just opening multiple times. 1 second. I see it opening now. Oh. I think my screen share is causing a lag. So let me actually close this. I think I've clicked it too many times. No, do not do this. As you can tell, it's opening very slowly, but it is opening. This is probably just due to having multiple instances open. So let me actually close some of these. And as you can tell, I have this solution filter open, backend task share X that I've created. And as you can see, 2 of the 11 projects are loaded, and I can just start focusing and have a focused sort of coding session. So let me close some of these. Okay, let's close some of these, and then I can move on to the next demo. It really wants me to focus on this task. So the next thing I want to show around just personalizing the Visual Studio experience is around configurable file nesting. So file nesting is important for nearly all projects. However, it is essential while working in large projects. So we've all been there before when we have a number of files that we have, just a bunch of files that we want to nest under each other just to make it make sense and also to clean up our Solution Explorer area. We received a number of feedback tickets, as well as just a fair amount of feedback from you all about how difficult you found configuring file nesting in Visual Studio. That just the file nesting default that you have might not necessarily be the rules that you want to apply. So having the ability to sort of configure some of these nesting rules is very, very important for many of you. We heard you, and now we want to support you to do this. So if you don't like what you have out the box, you can always create your own custom file settings that instruct Solution Explorer how you want to nest your files. You can add as many custom file nesting settings as you like. You can even switch between them as desired. So you can create these new custom settings. You can just start with an empty file. You can also use the default settings as your starting point and then edit from there. So let's actually see this in action. So I'm going to jump back to Visual Studio, and I am going to show you, once this closes, I'm going to show you this application. Let's make this a bit larger. And as you can see, I have a number of files. Just look over here under the resources on the right in the Solution Explorer. You can see I have a number of files that sound pretty similar. So I have portal.coffee, I have portal.js, I have portal-vsdoc.js. All of these files, maybe you want to clean up. And of course, this is a smaller set, but many people have a lot more files that, these can get pretty gnarly very quickly. So how would I actually do this? So directly in Solution Explorer, we have this little icon that allows you to have file nesting. So you can actually click this icon to actually enable file nesting. Another thing you can do is you can right-click on the respective area or scope that you care about having file nesting. So I can right-click on the solution to add file nesting. So you'll see file nesting. I can add solution settings directly here. I can also, on the specific project, do the same thing. So I could also here add file nesting here for at the project level. So what I will do is I will actually just, I've already created some this before this time, just so that we can get through this a bit quicker. So what I will do is I will just actually enable the file nestings that I have. I can actually add custom settings here. So let's actually just do that. So let's use the default as the template, and let's call this .NET Conf settings. And so as you can tell, this is actually the default settings that have been created. And so this provides you with all the rules that are relevant for this this project or the solution. So one of the things that we can do is we can actually enable this. For the sake of time, I'm not going to edit, but you can always, like I mentioned, edit all of the, any of these rules, and that will enable you to have an easier, cleaner experience in Solution Explorer. So let's actually see this in action. Okay, I think my machine is actually frozen. Having a bit of issues with the machine, so we might end up having to move on to the next demo if it does not unfreeze. So I think my Visual Studio instance is frozen. Let's do this one more time and see. Yep, I think it is. So I'm actually going to go to the next demo, and hopefully we can come back to it and see this in action. But the cool thing that I wanted to show is you will see there's a nesting based off of these rules. So we would actually see that this npm shrink wrap JSON would be nested under the package.json, and then also portal.js would be nested under portal.coffee, and portal vs doc.js would be nested under portal.js. So these are things that would have happened. Just having a bit of issues with this specific instance of Visual Studio. We'll come back to it and see if we can actually get this working if we have time. So moving forward, I don't have too much more time, so I actually want to just focus on one last demo that you probably haven't seen before. So I would have loved to see IntelliCode. I believe other people will. I mean, you can see my own videos as I am the IntelliCode PM. You can see my own videos online, and we can show those later. But I really want to show Web Live Preview. It's something that's super cool. It's a feature that is still in preview. Let's just actually get started with that one. So I'm sure that as an ASP.NET developer, you're going to love this new extension. So if you've ever worked on an app that has some sort of UI, you've run into this issue. You make a change, you compile and run that app, you see the change wasn't exactly what you wanted, you sort of see you stop debugging, you go back, you wash, rinse, and repeat, and you do this over and over and over again. And it becomes sort of like Groundhog Day, where it's not exactly what you want, but you have to go through this whole process in order to actually see what happened and change it. What if you could actually change this in real time? That would be really cool, and see what your edit would be. We've recently released a new editing mode experience called Web Live Preview. So Web Live Preview enables a real-time mapping between your source code and a rendered HTML for your ASP.NET Framework apps. So let's actually see this in action. So hopefully this is going to work out. I believe I have it open here. Let's actually see. I don't think. Let's actually see if this works one more time. Okay, still having frozen screen. So let's actually go back to this. And I am going to go back and open the solution one more time. Sorry, folks, just one more time. Having a slight issue with this. I had to reopen the file, just having a slight issue. I'm going to go back and see. I'm having just a slight issue with this, but the goal here is for me to show you. I will actually just go and show you IntelliCode suggestions as I'm having an issue with opening one of my files. So, so let's switch gears, and I will actually show IntelliCode suggestions. So you're probably super familiar with IntelliCode at this point. So IntelliCode is sort of the suite of AI-assisted developer tools that are available in Visual Studio. We've been around for over 2 years. We've showed you previews of IntelliCode completion. So those magic stars you get in those IntelliSense lists that sort of gives you the most likely completion for a given context. So we showed that at Build 2018. And since then, we have been providing more interesting, cool features. So one of our latest features that we GA'd just a few months ago is called IntelliCode Suggestions. And IntelliCode Suggestions, and that allows you to get suggestions based off of repeated edits. So whenever I'm making multiple similar edits in my code, I will be provided a suggestion that will help speed up that process and make it less onerous and much faster. So let's actually see this in action. So let's actually start with editing. I'm going to edit a file. So in this file, what I've done is I've hard-coded a number of Fahrenheit to Celsius conversions. And I've actually created an F to C helper method that will actually make this a bit like this code a little cleaner instead of having all of these hard-coded conversions. So let's actually use that helper function. So as I mentioned, it's called F to C. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just call F to C and use that variable fmin. So I'm going to go to the next instance where this would be useful. So here is another hard-coded like conversion. So I'm going to use F to C again. I'm going to make that edit one more time. Okay, so I've done this. And now I'm going to go to the next instance. And as you'll notice, this is my next instance. Here, you'll see that there are 3 small dots underneath. And what it's doing, it's telling me that IntelliCode suggestion, based off of my recent edits, is already providing me with a suggestion to call that helper method. So it's seeing what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to look through this. I'm going to click this. I could do a control dot in order to enable this from with a hard key, or I'm just using my mouse here. And then what I can do is I can actually go and select, and you can see I have a couple options. So I can go to the next suggestion, which it gives me the line numbers of this current location, but it also can take me to the next one. I can also apply, as it's sort of seen through my code, I can apply the suggestion in 4 other locations in this file. So I can apply it all at once, which will definitely save me time. I can show the 4 IntelliCode suggestions. And if I do this, it will actually, let's see what it does. It'll pop open this tool window that will provide me with the different locations that I can apply this. Again, I can go back here, or I can ignore suggestions like this. Just let's say that it wasn't actually helpful or isn't exactly what I want to do. So in this case, I know exactly what I want. I'm seeing this sort of diff here of what's actually being changed. And I'm just going to apply this for all suggestions because I've looked through these and this is the exact same thing that I want. I'm going to apply all 4 suggestions for this type on this document. So now that I've done this, you can notice those 4 locations have gone away. And let's actually go and see if that actually worked. So look, you can see here that F to C helper method is being called, and it's using the variable that is relevant for this context, so F total. Let's go one more down and see if we can see this in any other places. We can see this happening here as well. So this calls to this F to C with ftemp. And as you can tell, this has saved me so much time and also made it so that I'm not, making any errors in the process. So given that we are sort of out of time today, I really wanted to be able to show you Web Live Preview. I also, let's just see if there's a way, if this is unfrozen. It's still frozen, so I'm not able to show this nesting, but hopefully, reach out to me. I can definitely make sure that, we can show this in the future. Just having a bit of a, running a little behind from the previous session and not having enough time today to actually get through it. But as I mentioned, try out Visual Studio 2019. Let me go back to my PowerPoint and I can actually show you just some of the things that are coming up. So as you can see, what's coming up next is you'll sort of learn more about our AI assisted productivity and some of the more future sessions. Also, since I'm the PM for IntelliCode, you can check out my other videos. There was a really cool toolbox session that I did pretty recently around team completions. That has gone GA for 16.8. You can actually try it out today and also read our blog post as well as our release notes for all of the information to the documentation of how to actually use this. We're also going to hear from people coming up around .NET productivity. I think Mika is going on next, and she'll be sharing with you all the cool things that you can do in .NET. And hopefully she'll have some time to actually show you team completions in action if she does. And then there's some other, cool sessions this week that will really help you see all the other cool things that are happening in Visual Studio. So for instance, our Git workflows and the ability to use GitHub Actions directly from Visual Studio. So thank you for joining, and I've really enjoyed this session. Pardon having any of the issues with technology. Sometimes, your Visual Studio instance might freeze, and that sort of puts a damper on things. But we made it through, and I'm hopefully you've learned something new today. And please let me know if there's on Twitter if there's anything that you'd love for me to provide a quick sort of demo of or video of, and I can provide that too.
All right, Katie, that was awesome. So much good stuff. There were a bunch of questions asked about the templates. So many, in fact, that I think we're going to do a Visual Studio Toolbox episode on it, or maybe a couple episodes on it. So you guys with questions, make sure to look for that coming up soon. And Katie, maybe you can go pop over on Twitter and see some of the questions and answer them directly.